Some pretty. So that's kind of that's Microsoft doing it too, you know. So so the value is inherent to the audience, the power of it, and it's not really quantifiable, and that's why we talk about something called goodwill at the top. Goodwill is an intangible asset. What does that mean?
It means it's not solid, like you can't give it to someone, you can't see it.
Right. So if I had like a personal balance sheet, my iPhone would be you know, a line item. Maybe, you know, I don't have very much money, so this would make my balance sheet. And so you'd say, okay, well, he has an iPhone, he has a motorcycle, he has a pink shirt, and a depressing life, right? So this would make my balance sheet. So I could go and you could tangibly feel this. But then, you know, I'm not saying that I have any intangible goodwill. But then there would be something that like YouTube has that has goodwill. So this is actually the acquisition accounting from Google's 2006 annual report. When you look at that number at the top, $1.1 billion of it is devoted to goodwill. The other things are like trade name, existing customer contracts, those are all intangible assets. What's a customer contract worth? What's a relationship with a customer? Can anybody put an exact number on? Yeah.
Oh, you want a number for the customer contract?
Yes, out to the dollar.
Like $1 million?
Yeah, I mean, who knows? I mean, I have no idea. It varies. They said $153 million based on some of their relationships. And then you have the trade name, YouTube. What's YouTube worth? Everyone immediately knew what it was when I said YouTube. What's that worth? The brand value. That's worth a ton. They actually had a problem when YouTube came out. There's another website, just the letter U, tube.com. And when it started getting popular, people accidentally going to YouTube with just the letter U crippled the site. And it was this company called Universal Tubing. They made tubing products for various things. Shut down the site. It was YouTube is fascinating if you really start going and look at it. There was one study done that said that in 2007, YouTube used a little bit more bandwidth than the entire internet did in 2001. You think about how much that's grown. So that's where the value is. And we can't put a number on it, but Google's willing to pay $1.194 billion for this company. That if we were just going to be, if we were going to be extremely, can't think of the word I'm looking for, but nice. Say maybe YouTube had assets valued of $15 million. So you've got this company of $15 million that we're going to pay $1.194 billion for. How do you get from there and there? And that's what the problem that accountants had was, okay, you paid $1.194 billion for a company worth $15 million. Where do we put that other asset? Because there is value there, and that's where goodwill came from. It's a pretty serious concept, and it's a pretty developed one and complicated one, but it's a pretty simple idea if you really think about it. Is everyone kind of on the same page what it is? All right, so let's flip it around and let's connect the dots here a little bit. Google comes to me and says, we've got $1.34 billion of goodwill. How do I audit that? What ideas do you have?
I guess you can try and estimate how many loyal customers Google has and go to visit the site every
So you look at their customer base?
Yeah, I guess.
Are people still using YouTube?
Yeah.
All of you raise your hand, said you used it today, or this week. Matthew's going to show us his YouTube too a little bit later. What else could you do?
survey of the general public and ask them, various questions about YouTube.
But what you're saying, but what I'm hearing from both of you is, it's still gonna be kind of an estimate, isn't it?
Is it actually like auditable, or do you actually do that? Do you have to?
Yeah, there's actually a standard, and it's called FAS 142, which is not something you need to know. But every year, companies have to assess whether their goodwill is still worth the same amount as it was. And so every year, Google goes through a process and says, and they have more goodwill than this because they've acquired a lot more companies, so it's the total amount that they have. And they have to go through and say, is YouTube still worth this much to us? Then they can do it a number of ways. They can look at the cash flow that YouTube generates over its expected life, and that's how you do a lot of ways. But mainly it's an estimate. And so we have to rely on Google and management's estimates, and we assess whether they seem reasonable or not. And that's where like the experience and the knowledge that you learn in accounting classes get into it. I knew you all are going to AOL too this week. And what did AOL used to be partnered with? Time Warner, that's right. And they were acquired in about, I think, 2001, 2002, around that. How many of you all had an AOL account? Wow, a lot of you. How many of you had an AOL account in the past 3 years? A few of you.
Like an email account or like?
No, like actual America Online Service. Not like AIM. How many of you have actually paid for AOL service? A few of you. You still have it though?